Hey everyone, this is John with Seattle Coffee Gear, and today we're talking about easy dialing in with the Breville Barista Touch Impress. Dialing in is a phrase that refers to the process of getting a new coffee and adjusting the amount of coffee, the grind setting, until you get an espresso that tastes how you want it to. This video is made for someone who's newer to espresso or is maybe moving from a super automatic to a semi-automatic and is concerned about the additional effort involved. Typically, when we're dialing in a semi-automatic machine with a separate grinder, we have a scale, a separate tamper, and there's a lot of effort involved. This machine simplifies that process and holds your hand through all the steps of dialing in to getting a good tasting shot. Want to learn more? Make sure to stick around to the end of the video to see all of these tips. One of the first steps in dialing in is getting the right amount or dose of coffee for your desired shot. This machine has some great pieces in place to help you nail that perfect dose every time. Typically, you'd be using a scale to check this by a certain number of grams, but this machine does it with a really clever system using the lever-assisted tamping to check the depth of the puck. That's what the coffee is called after you tamp. So the machine has a sensor that can tell how far down the tamper went when you lowered that lever. If it went too far, the machine knows it didn't have enough coffee in the portafilter basket that holds the coffee. If it didn't go far enough, that would tell the machine that there's too much coffee in the basket, and you would use this handy little razor tool to trim some coffee off the portafilter. As you're making those adjustments, the machine learns along with you and remembers those settings so that you don't have to adjust it every single time. It really simplifies the process of nailing that perfect dose. The next thing that can be tricky when dialing in an espresso machine is getting a consistent tamp every time. If your tamp is slightly different each time you brew espresso, it's gonna change how your coffee tastes each time. If you're wondering what tamping means, that's the process of compacting that ground coffee so it can more evenly resist the flow of water as it's being pumped by the machine. The lever-assisted tamping on this machine provides consistent pressure each time, and it's also very level. That way, when the pump of the machine turns on and it's forcing water onto the coffee, the water is met with equal resistance across the puck, and that leads to more consistent extraction. Water is coming into contact with all those coffee particles at the same rate, and that means it's extracting the same flavor from all the different coffee particles and making tasty espresso. The third thing on our list that this machine helps with is timing your shot. Timing your shot is related to the grind setting of the machine. If you grind coffee finer, it's gonna take longer to get the same amount of brewed liquid coffee. If you grind coarser, water's gonna flow through that coffee faster and you're gonna get a shorter brew time. This is important because you want the water to have the right amount of time in contact with the coffee. So just like I was talking about with tamping, it spends the perfect amount of time in contact and gets you the right extraction, which again leads to tasty espresso. On a machine like this Breville, we found that a great brew time for a double shot is somewhere around 25 to 30 seconds. If you're getting espresso that tastes sour or thin, that usually means your coffee is under extracted. It's brewing too fast and you need to adjust the grind setting finer to slow down that brewing process. If your coffee is tasting burnt, bitter, or dirty or harsh, that's typically an example of over extraction. That means water is in contact with that ground coffee for too long, so your brewing is taking too long. If you're past 30 seconds, you're probably gonna be running into some of these flavors, and all you need to do is go a little bit coarser on your grind setting to speed up that brew process. As a side note, if you're making these tweaks and you can't get rid of that dirty or burnt flavor, it could be that you're using a roast that is extremely dark, and that's just inherent in the coffee itself. Some people like that, it's not for everybody. Another thing that could be going on is the machine itself could be dirty and need to be cleaned or back flushed. If you're not able to get rid of some of those unpleasant notes, try giving your machine a back flush and then starting again. If you need info on back flushing, check your machine's manual or go through some of the settings on this machine. It's important to use the right coffee when making espresso. Espresso is just a brew method, so you can technically use any coffee you want, but we find most of our customers prefer a medium or medium dark roast coffee when using a machine like the Breville. It's crucial to have coffee that is relatively fresh. I'd say within a month or two of the roast date is safe. Typically within a couple weeks will get you better results, but the biggest thing to remember is to look for coffee that has a roast date listed on it. When you're buying any US roasted coffee from us, like this Crew Brew blend that we collaborated with Tony's Coffee for, all of these will list the roast date on them and get to you within a few weeks of that roast date. Now that we've covered those tips, let's go ahead and brew some coffee and show all of this in progress. Thanks so much for sticking around to the end of the video. Hopefully these tips encouraged you as you're looking towards a semi-automatic espresso machine or maybe jumping into a machine like this Breville. Is this machine for you? If so, drop us a comment down below or give us your thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, I'd love it if you give it a like. If you're shopping for a new machine, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you know when we're releasing new videos on equipment that might fit your needs. There's also a link in the description of this video to sign up for our email newsletter, and that way you'll know about all the sales and new products coming up. As a thank you, we'll also email you a 10% off coupon that's good for one item. It does have some exclusions, so be sure to chat with our team at seattlecoffeegear.com if you have any questions about that. Thanks again for watching. Hope you have a great day and keep making coffee you love.